All right, so I'm going to take a little change of pace here, and it's amazing to be here with Marjorie, Sandra, and Lourdes, who are talking about these amazing initiatives, and I'm here to talk to you about a party that we had.
That's good.
So just by a show of hands, can you show me who knows what Feeding the 5,000 is? Oh, good, a few people and quite a few that don't. So Feed the 5,000 was started in London, England by Tristan Stewart in 2009, who decided that food waste is a huge issue and he wanted to bring awareness to it. And so he collected a whole bunch of food from farmers, bakeries, grocery stores, all over, found some chefs to cook it up and served it up as a communal feast, all for free. And it's all from food that would have otherwise been wasted. So think of ugly fruits and vegetables, food near its best before date, mislabeled or improperly packaged food, damaged food, oversupply, and overstock. And then since 2009, the inaugural event, events have been held all over the world in Brussels, Paris, Sydney, New York, Vancouver, and now in Red Deer. All right, so Feed the 5,000 is based on a few key principles. The first is that all food is served for free and anyone can join in. Only food that would have been wasted can be served up. And one of the goals is to inform people that food waste occurs at all levels of the food chain, from farm to fork. And aim for a zero waste event. And finally, to stay positive in your messaging. And not only in your messaging, but as well as when you're organizing. It can get really discouraging when you go out to grocery stores and they tell you, well, we're concerned about the negative ramifications that may come from donating food. And so just to keep that positive attitude alive. So Feed 500. Well, part of Red Deer's environmental master plan is to decrease the amount of waste that's going to the landfill and increase waste diversion opportunities. So I'm sorry, Marsha, I'm not actually from Red Deer. I'm from Calgary, so I can't speak too much to Red Deer, but I can tell you about one of the organizers who heard about Feed the 5,000 and decided that this is really cool, let's do this in Red Deer. However, Red Deer being significantly smaller than Paris, Brussels, or New York decided, let's aim for 500 people. And so Feed 500 Red Deer was born. Together with the Recycling Council of Alberta, the Red Deer College Chef Apprentice Program, excuse me, that's a little bit of a tongue twister for me, and a number of other supporting organizations, we were able to host the Feed 500 event. And I love this picture. I have nothing to say right now, just you feel free to read that. All right, so all of us together started working on reaching out to local grocery stores, farmers, bakeries, food processors to collect food for the event. And usually Feed 5,000 events happen to be fully vegetarian just because of the nature of collecting food. Somehow, one of our organizers reached out to Bowden Farms and collected over 150 whole chickens. And this is because of an overhatch, and I didn't know that chickens also have a quota that they can sell each year, and so they had an overhatch and were able to donate a whole bunch to us. So that was fantastic. We also contacted some major grocery stores in Red Deer who are willing to donate produce, juice, bread. Several nearby farmers were able to donate crops such as potatoes, beets, lettuce, carrots, tomatoes. When we were contacting these farmers as well, it was also really wonderful to hear how much of their food did not go to waste. A lot of it was being fed to their animals, so that was just a really positive note to take away from them as well. And then when we started to promote the event on social media, people started reaching out to us saying, hey, we have all these salt and pepper packages, or have you contacted this organization? And so that was great, just having people get in touch with us and telling us where else we could look for food. One of those examples is Edible Arrangements. They had volunteered for them in the past and said, you know, they make all these beautiful fruit bouquets and they have to use the best looking fruit, and anything that's brown, dented, or doesn't just look as pretty actually goes to waste. And so we contacted them, and it turned out there had been a gap in their service for donating it, and they were willing to give us a whole bunch of their fruit for the event. So then, once all the food was collected, it was up to Red Deer College's Chef Apprentice program to prepare all the food for the day. They started about 2 days before, working, I think they must have done 10 to 12-hour shifts prepping for this. And they came up with a delicious and beautiful meal, which included, so we had our chicken curry with potato hash, a borscht, a fruit smoothie, and bread pudding with plum sauce. And then the day of the event rolls around, and we're all busy preparing for booths and talking to each other like, all right, we got all this food, and what if only a handful of people show up, and what are we gonna do? And we had lined up, of course, a whole bunch of organizations to take the food afterwards in case we couldn't get rid of it all. Day comes, and 11 o'clock, and people are standing there waiting for us to start serving food, and we didn't start serving till about 11:30. And apparently, word of a free lunch spreads very quickly, because boy, did they come. We had a lineup down the block.
Wow.
So we held it downtown in the Mayor's Park, right in the middle of the business district. We had people coming from work. We had just residents coming by who were free that day, lots of school groups. It was incredibly busy and wonderfully so. And so just a few pictures of the food being served up. And this part of the Chef's Apprentice program, this gave them an opportunity to practice serving to the public. And they had to work quick. Our wonderful fruit smoothie. So, yeah, just we had some tables set up, people sitting on the grass, enjoying the food. Some of them taking it back to the office with them. As I mentioned before, we aimed for a zero waste event. All our waste stations had attendants to speak with residents about what can be composted, what can go in the trash, and what goes where. And approximately 85% of the waste that from the event was composted, and this includes food scraps from food prep, as well as our compostable servingware. And we weren't just serving food, we also had some music and a little dance party going on at the front. We had some booths set up, so in this far top corner here, we have Terry speaking to some people walking by about how long food lasts for and breaking some of the myths about what goes bad when. We had another booth of people pledging to reduce their food waste, either by planning meals for the week, using up leftovers in their fridge, buying ugly fruits and vegetables. One of our organizers made this amazing face cutout of a carrot. And then we had like bananas and Mr. Potato Heads walking around that day. And yes, that is me in the banana costume. Feed 500 also coincided with World Car Free Day, which was a fantastic promotion to go along with our event. And so we had a bus there with a reading room on it, or a reading box on it, where people could share books. People came by, and we promoted, and people came by bike, walked, or took transit, which was free that day. And it just helped, I think, to get people down who weren't planning to come down and realize, like, it's a little bit easier if we don't have to drive and look for parking. So at first we were a little worried about, no one coming. And then all of a sudden we had a huge lineup of people, and we're like, what if we don't have enough food? And it all worked out. In the end, we ended up serving 1,750 portions of food. We rescued over 800 kilograms of food from going to waste, and that included 250 loaves of bread, those 150 plus chickens, 15 liters of juice, and the only one I know of is 80 pounds of beets going from landfill. I don't know how much carrots, potatoes, or lettuce we had. And we had absolutely no leftovers from the event, which was incredible. It just happened to work out that as we handed out the last few dishes of food, the last few people came and collected them. And overall, it was a great success.